Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sultans of Swap. It is January 3rd. The Christmas tree is out on the curb. The champagne is all drank. I'm joined as always by Edwin Anderson, Cal Ripken Super Collector. How's it going, buddy?
Going good, going good.
And live from the Sports Card Investor Studio, it is John freaking Anthony. What's up, dude?
What's up, pal?
My first question is, what did Santa bring you guys?
Edwin?
Oh man, I got a new iPad,
There you go.
new pillow for sleeping. For baseball cards, Santa brought myself some, but that's about it, man. I hear you got a pretty nice one-of-one present there.
I did. Thank you, man, for mentioning it. It's my little boy Oliver, which I like that name, and sleep is interesting, but that is to be expected, man. But pretty much Christmas Eve, baby. Pretty much the greatest Christmas present ever. So, but I did get more than that as it relates to baseball cards. My wife, she doesn't buy me any actual baseball cards. She just allows for budgetary spending. So that's really nice. I appreciate that, man. John, what's going on in Philly? What did Two Thumbs bring you?
Just some clothes, man. Nothing crazy.
I see you're wearing them now.
Yeah, I am. I got a white V-neck on. I got a pair of pajama pants I got for Christmas.
Hey, they fired your boy in Philly. What do you think about him getting fired?
Thank God.
Really? Thank God.
Thank God. Do you really want me to go on a tirade? It's 10:30 on a Sunday morning.
Yes, I want you to go. Dude, I asked that question specifically so you would go on a tirade, actually.
Here's the thing. The man knows a lot. He knows a lot about the offensive side of the football and a general scheme. The problem is that this man has tunnel vision worse than any human being I've ever met in my life. He will never alter from that scheme. Let's start with game one. Game one, there's just over 2 minutes to go in the game. They couldn't have played any worse. They're in a position to win the game after being down 20 points in the first half. Just over 2 minutes to go. It's second and less than a yard. You have DeMarco Murray. And instead of just lining up under center, handing the ball, running up the middle, getting the first down, taking the clock under 2 minutes, making Atlanta use their timeouts and either lining up for a field goal to win the game or missing and Atlanta goes home. But the point being, don't give them the ball back.
Right. I remember this, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so does Jess because she videotaped me punching the balloon and everything else. If you remember, she posted the video. I was losing my mind. Not only did he not line up under center, run a quarterback sneak, or run up the middle, he went no huddle and ran two sideways plays that not only did not result in a first down, he then rushed his kicker onto the field, didn't call a timeout. It was such a disaster. And for this man to be the only coach in NFL history that says time of possession means nothing. Nothing. It means nothing. The man is insane. He should be a coordinator, and that's it. And quite frankly, I love the way Jeffrey Lurie did it. Not only not waiting till the end of the season, not firing him in season so he does not have an opportunity to get a good job.
Dude, that rant is perfect Philadelphia. I think it just captures the essence of an Eagles fan so much.
Brian, it's factual. I mean, just like you said earlier. You said earlier, somebody's in a bad mood right now. I'm not in a bad mood. I just stick to the facts. That's it. Facts.
I love it.
There's no opinion there. The man is a buffoon. It's undebatable.
Do you guys have any games you're watching today? The Steelers got to win, man. If they don't make the playoffs, I'm going to be devastated because they're actually a good team.
Steelers are a dangerous team, man. They're very good on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, they're not so great. I think the Jets playing with revenge at Buffalo. I think most of the Bills have checked out for the season. They've got a lot of injuries. I don't think the Jets can lose this game.
So the Jets are going to win. The Steelers will win, but they won't make the playoffs.
Yep.
That's brutal, man. That really hurts. Edwin, are you watching any football today, man?
Yeah, I'll probably watch some of it, but my team's out, so I'm done.
You're done. Who do you like again? The Dolphins?
Nah, I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, a Cowboys fan. Yeah, they've been out of it since week 1, man.
Yeah, we were done early on.
He's a Me Too fan. Who do
Hey,
you like? The Cowboys. Me too.
hey, I've always been a Cowboy. I was born a Cowboys fan. I'm not gonna change now.
Well, I did almost forget. We did get some questions this week. How did people submit the questions, Edwin?
We've been getting a lot of questions through Facebook. We got a pretty good following on there. The hobby's really strong on Facebook. We get some questions every once in a while through Twitter, even on our YouTube channel. But I think this week, the most of them came through Facebook.
Most of them did come through Facebook. I'm seeing on here. So, well, I know a lot of people missed us and they're excited for the episode. So I know we were going to talk about the hobby in general, meaning what was the post again, John? What was the exact post that set you into a post-apocalyptic rage?
The post was a gentleman on the Breakers channel was asking how much a particular team was, and his comment was, well, I only buy cards so that I can make money. I need to be able to make money. That's too expensive. And that is the mentality that I have told specifically Brian about in a lot of our one-on-one conversations, that is destroying the modern end of this hobby. And it was so awesome to see all the guys that were on our channel that just, they bashed this guy so bad. First of all, they bashed him. He left the room. He came back. He ended up buying the team that he asked about. They continued bashing him before the break. I had to refund the guy his money. He said, it's obvious that I'm not welcome here. But the guy did, in his defense, he did send me an email apologizing for what he said. But just the mentality is just, it's just awful. It's what kills it. It's the fact that everybody needs to make money. It's the fact that in Raz rooms, IPC so-and-so, when the guy gets the card in the mail, you see the blades of grass on the way back from his mailbox in the picture. Need to sell. Have to pay bills. It's just amazing the number of people that collect modern cards. They actually collect and keep. It's decreasing rapidly.
Now, Edwin is a guy that collects, Rifkin almost exclusively, but not quite. Where are you at on that?
Oh, I'm a diehard collector, so it's very tough for me. I get very personally attached, to the cards. I've been on the fence for quite a while about even trading or selling duplicate cards. To be honest with you, the thing about it is if I am going to let them go, I'm going to let them go to somebody else who's going to appreciate them. I don't want the same thing to happen. Let them go to somebody who's going to turn around and flip them for money. Like,
Right.
I understand. Like, if I'm selling some cards, once they're gone, the other person can do whatever they want with them. You know what I mean? It's their card at that point. If you're going to sell something, you got to be, unattached to it. But yeah, as a collector, and I think this is what separates, a lot of folks apart. We don't have a lot of true collectors. It's a mix. I'm not knocking what other people do, but as a collector, you get something, you want to keep it, and I see a lot of folks too. I think there's another level to that as well, where you get a collector who, doesn't need 100 Ripken rookies or whatever the case may be, so they get their 8, and then they go, I got a good deal on a 9, and I'm getting ready to sell my 8. I understand that, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. But for me personally, I I want to keep them, forever. So that's just, my thing.
So let me ask you this real quick, and I'd like to hear both your opinions on this. No one on the planet goes into any retail store and says, I can't buy this at this price. I need to be able to get it at a discount. I need to make money if I want to put it on eBay and sell it. Nobody does that. They'll get drug out by their ears by the security guard. So why does it happen so frequently in our venue?
I think there's a lot of nuance to this question, which is the reason that I liked it so much. I will answer that question from the regard that I think there are actually more businesses where that is the case than than just strictly in like card hobbies. There's a lot of that in like antiquing, for example. Art is a good example. Jewelry is another one where you have an opportunity to get things at a value, sell them higher. Those are all semi hobbies, and then a lot of people turn those into businesses where they're effectively using their knowledge of a certain product or hobby to do it as a business. So I think those are a few other examples. I mean, it certainly doesn't exist in a retail environment, so I get your point. But when I talk about like the nuance to the question, I mean there are factors that come into play for people that have that type of attitude, and I think both of you guys know what some of those are. I think that the Topps and Panini and Leaf and all these other card companies kind of play into the need to get something at a certain price and then maybe not necessarily sell it for more, but the way that the products come out, one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, all throughout the calendar year, I think what happens is I think guys get into products, they buy them up, and then the new product comes out, and they want to sell some of what they have of the previous one to buy the new one. I do think that is part of it, and no one really, man, likes to sell if they have to sell at a loss. I think we could all agree on that. I think those are a few examples of situations where people want to do that, and I also think those are some of the reasons why. I mean, we've talked about breaking, razzing, eBay. Effectively, all of these things, particularly in the modern market, are gambling. I mean, they more or less that's really what we are. I think most people will be comfortable saying that, particularly as it applies to those specific avenues. So I kind of get where that, like, I don't know if that guy, if I would have necessarily beat him up on the post, and I only say that because I can relate to that in a lot of ways, man. I tend to really buy things at less than I know what I can sell them for. And as horrible as it might be able to say this, I do try and, I don't want to say take advantage, but all those posts where people need money for Christmas, they need money for their car, they need money for whatever, whatever the case may be, I'm already leveraging their desperation into my offer. So if someone wants $100 for something and they say, hey, I got to pay my bills to keep my lights on, yeah, I offer them $50. Because I'm leveraging, again, that need to sell. And then, there's a lot of times, man, where that card I buy for $50, I'll turn around and sell it for $90. I'll sit on it, I'll put it on eBay, and, I'll wait until someone comes along who wants it for a collection, and, there's my profit. I feel like that's just business, John. I've talked to you enough about this. You know me, man. I'm pretty unemotional about that aspect of the hobby. I really appreciate what Edwin said about taking the card and giving it to a true collector. If I had my preference, of course that's what I would do, but I'd be lying if I said the price that I paid versus the price that I'm selling it for isn't always on my mind.
Yeah, and I think the thriftiness of it, I think everybody's in there to look for a deal. I mean, that's what eBay thrives off of. I mean, everybody wants to get a good deal on eBay. That's why people spend hours and hours searching, and they scavenge the pages, and everybody's looking for a good deal. But I think you bring up a good point too about the commodity aspect of baseball cards. Buy low, sell high. I mean, who's in it to lose money? I don't think anybody is.
But John, that seems to particularly, I don't want to say bother. I mean, and obviously the people on your group page were kind of bothered by the guy saying that. Now, I think I'm pretty firm. I didn't know the context of what it was under, but I don't know that I necessarily disagree with him, man.
It's a hobby, Brian. When people decorate their house for Christmas and they enjoy it, they don't go into Hallmark and say, I need a better deal on this. This is just ridiculous. I can't pay full price for your 2015 Christmas ornament. It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So why is that the mentality amongst so many in this when it was not the mentality pre-eBay? Pre-eBay, that was not the mentality at all. People went to shows, they built sets, they paid the price they paid, the price was the price, or if they bought a bunch, the guy would give them a break, and that's it.
See, dude, this is where I think you're remembering that era like a good Republican remembers the 1950s. Yeah, there were a lot of good aspects of the 1950s, but they tend to forget all the bad stuff that happened too. And what I mean by that is the era that you're talking about was also the era where, you know, Don West was selling baseball cards, get Gem Mint 10s now. And, you know, dude, I think a lot of people were buying those cards, and foolishly so, obviously in hindsight, to try and make money, man. I think the financial aspect of the hobby drives a lot of people to buy.
Okay, well then answer me this question. The number of stores, the number of brick and mortar stores has decreased every year for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
The number of individuals that buy cards has decreased every year for the last...
I don't mean to give you a hard time, but can you quantify that last one? I agree with you on the hobby stores. That's very easy to find, but on the number of collectors, how are you quantifying that?
Well, Brian, would stores close if there were people breaking their doors down to get in?
Well, this is what I mean, man. There's more nuance to saying that than just saying it's because that less people were coming into the store. Yes, less people were coming into the store, but also a lot more people were buying online, man.
I understand, but to that point, that doesn't mean they're not going to go into a store.
Oh, I think absolutely it does, man.
Okay, well, how about shows? Let's talk about shows.
Yeah, shows are hurting.
Dead. Shows are dead.
It depends on the area you're in, man. I gotta say, around where I live, the shows are okay. They're pretty good. There's a huge one in Chantilly, which I'm sure you know about.
Brian, there's like 10 huge shows in the country. That's it, and it happens like once a quarter. And the only reason people go is for the autographs. That's it. If you take the autographs out, they're not going for cards. There's a show in Delaware, okay, at the Etna Fire Hall, and another one in New Jersey. It was a monthly show. You used to have to walk down the aisle sideways.
Yeah.
Get down once a month. And I'm not talking about 15 years ago. I'm talking about just 7 or 8 years ago. It was mobbed. You couldn't even get a table at the show.
I guess I'm asking, you don't think a lot of that is offset by the ability to collect online?
No, I think there's more and more people. I think there's less and less people that own more and more of the cars. 100%.
So it's financially tied.
I don't even think it's debatable. No, it's financially tied. No, I think the aspect of collecting is not there because everybody has this mentality that they need to make money. And after they don't make money and don't make money and don't make money, they quit. How many people have you seen stop razzing? How many people have you seen they quit? Why do they quit? Why do they quit if they love cards? Because they're losing money, because they can't win razzing. Just like going to a casino. If you want to gamble, go to a casino. If you want to collect cards, collect cards.
I don't know. Maybe I'm having a hard time seeing it outside of myself. Edwin, where are you on this?
I don't know. I think it's really hard to quantify, where the market has gone. I think that there is some trade-offs there. I think, there was a small fraction of folks that, like the brick and mortar type of stores that kind of dried up. But I think the online stuff really opened up other markets. I mean, you think about the folks that didn't have those brick and mortar stores in any close proximity, and they don't have card shows, and it really opened up the world for them,
Right.
Versus trading with their buddy or whatever the case may be. I think it's a living, breathing animal, so it's going to ebb and flow into different areas, and I think obviously the online stuff increased the accessibility as we all mentioned, but I think when we sit there and look at the card, I think we kind of got into this on one of the previous episodes, but when we look at the card stores, I mean, there's a lot of overhead associated with the brick and mortar stores too. And I think a lot of folks looked at those stores and said, well, why do I have this retail space when I can do the same amount of business, if not more, online? And and there was a portion that still kept that brick and mortar and expanded online, but then there was other folks that go, well, geez, I mean, let me increase my margin even more by removing my overhead. I don't know. I think it's really hard. And I think, I don't think our hobby has finished growing yet. I mean, I think, it's been pretty volatile, over the last, so many years, and I think, there's still more to come. Like we don't even, I mean, what's going to change? And I think we brought up a good point a little bit ago when we were just kind of talking offline. But things like shipping rates increasing for 2016. I mean, this is going to be a big kick, on what the market does. Where we're used to buying and snatching up singles and inserts or whatever at a low cost, for shipping, first class with tracking online under $2. Now we're going, almost $3, to ship a single card, with tracking. And I think it's really going to change the way people do business and collectors trade. And they're going to adapt. I mean, collectors that still want to collect, they're going to adapt. They're going to figure out a different way to do things, to stay in the hobby and whatnot. But I mean, it's hard to quantify for me. I mean, we don't have a good, tracking method, on that. But, I think
the tracking method would be in sales from the card companies.
Okay, so that's great. Great point. Let's talk about that. Great point. How many manufacturers were there in 1995?
Oh, dude, there were dozens.
Okay, so there's dozens, right? How many are there now?
3, 4, 5. I can think of a couple, but not. There's less.
There's 2 licensed ones. Okay, in the major sports, there's Topps, there's Panini. Upper Deck is on a defibrillator, and Leaf merged within the game, and they now have a lawsuit. So there's at the max, there's 4 licensed manufacturers at the max. There were dozens in the mid '90s. So you don't think that the fact that stores are closing has a direct correlation to the number of collectors? Does the fact that the number of manufacturers is down 80% have a correlation to that less people are buying cards?
Now, this isn't me being in denial. I think the only thing I would say to that is I don't think you're taking as many variables into account, because when you just look at things that simply, yes, you're right. But when you start adding the variables in, I mean, the licensing really came down to money. I mean, that's what everything comes down to, of course.
Not true. These companies went out of business. Fleer was the best company.
When Topps bought the exclusive Major League Baseball license, they bid on that. Panini had an opportunity to bid on that if they wanted.
Brian, they did not. Topps does not. Major League Baseball detests Panini. That's why they will not give them a license. Why would Major League Baseball not want? You think they don't want to issue it? That's number one. Number two, as far as the number of products you mentioned, Major League Baseball, the MLB, the NFL, they require these companies to put out a specific number of products each year.
Right.
They have to. They have to put out a minimum. So that's why we're getting drowned in products.
Sure.
That's why you don't have time to enjoy one. And back in the heyday of 20 manufacturers, that's when the sales were the highest. That's not even questionable. Ask anyone who's in the distribution business. The guy that I talk to, that I post pictures of, we talk daily. Okay, I would love to have him on one of these calls.
Get him on here, buddy.
He used to get 50 or 60 cases of cards per week from the manufacturers, all the manufacturers. And then it was 30, and then it was 20, and then it was 10, and then you're down to 2 manufacturers, and then you went from selling 100 cases of Top Series 1 to 60 and 40 and 30 and 20, and that's the most basic popular issue of the season.
But the cost of the cards have also increased too. You know what I mean? And so back when and I hate to say it, but so is people's pocketbooks. But at the same time, you used to be able to stretch your dollar a little bit farther, get a lot more cards for So the quantity of cards, I could see that decreasing with the quality. I'm assuming quality, but the quality of cards going up. A lot of things. I mean, almost every packet you're going to get an autograph or a relic or whatever the case may be. So they're going to pass along the cost to the consumer.
Sure.
I'm also interested. What do you think that's doing to the retailers? The big retailers like the WalMarts, the Targets, Toys R Us. Whoever else sells the blaster boxes and stuff. I mean, kids are buying that stuff like candy.
I was going to say, it's so funny to me that you just mentioned those big box stores. And the reason I say it's funny that you mentioned those big box stores is when you were giving the example of what was happening and things are closing and the way the products were moving, it's like a Walmart moving into town, man. Like, they're monopolizing it. That's what they do. And that's what Topps and Panini have really done, in my opinion, to the sports card market, is that they have, it's not a complete monopoly, obviously, because they're competitors, but it's damn close. You know how it is when a Walmart moves into town. What happens to all the mom and pop shops? They'll close up because they can't compete.
Brian, do you understand how big Fleer was? Do you understand how big Upper Deck was? Upper Deck, it's not even close, made the nicest cards. They made the nicest cards. They had the best product. That was the most desired card by every serious collector.
What year? Like 89?
Like every year. Like every year. Starting with when jerseys and autographs became relevant,
right.
Upper Deck always had the best cards. They had the best athletes. They had the best exclusives.
They did.
They're on life support. They weren't paying their athletes. That's why they lost baseball and football. That's why they only have hockey. And guess what? They're almost out of hockey.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to misunderstand. I'm not denying the truth that you're saying. I'm not delusional. I think there has been a drop in the overall number of collectors, and I think it's for a lot of the reasons that we're talking about now. But I also agree with what Edwin said, which is I think a lot of it shifts, man, because there were no breaks in the 90s. The business that you run and do very well at, from the aspect of, hey, look, I mean, dude, look at breaking, just real quick, right? My biggest issue with breaking really is that, like, anyone can run a break. Like, I could run a break right now. Hey, give me some money. I'll get a box of cards open. I'll bust them open and ship it to you. So how many guys just decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open my own breaking company. And what happens to them? They don't ship on time. They don't, have the product in to open it up on time. I mean, how many rooms do you see where they say, send me the money and then I'll buy the case and then I'll bring it in? So who ends up being the most successful at these type of breaks? It's guys like you and other guys that, they operate it like a legitimate business, where they make sure that they have good customer service. They make sure that they have the products, the newest ones on hand. They make sure that they're doing it in a timely fashion, like all these different type of things. And the reason that I'm even talking about this is because, dude, it's a business. It's a business. People are looking for those type of things. They're looking for the best price. They're looking for the best products. They're looking for all these things. So you're going to have more success than a lot of other guys because you actually know how to operate a business, man. My point being to this whole dissertation is you have to have some business savvy in the hobby to be successful at it. And as that relates to the card companies, I feel like it's the same thing, man. A lot of those companies, Upper Deck in particular, made a lot of bad business decisions, man. I think there was a lot more to it than just, people not collecting as much.
Well, I'm going to say two things to you. You think that it's financial and people making and losing money. I will tell you this. I challenge you. You are in every Facebook group imaginable. I challenge you to look at the names on the lists of my breaks, okay? And look at how many people that participate in the breaks are selling cards that they got in the breaks. I will tell you that it's a very low percentage.
It probably is a low percentage, man.
And that means these guys actually collect cards.
Yeah, that's great.
Right, and hence there's a direct correlation to the fact that I'm still around after a year and doing well with no issues, and my turnover rate is very low because people are collecting. When people they don't care that they bought, the Cleveland Indians and didn't get a Lindor auto, and they're not screaming and yelling that I have to make money, I need to make. Because they don't have that mentality, they're happy getting a package in the mail, and they're happy trading with the guy who got the Indians in a random. There was a crazy trade last night made in my break. It was a random team break. There was a crazy trade made, and I'm sitting there scratching my head. But it's two guys that they collect their teams.
Right.
They don't care. It is what it is.
Hold on, I have to know who the trade it was real quick.
Mariners for Rays.
Mariners for Rays. And what product?
Bowman's Best. Mariners are a much better team.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the Mariners are a much better team than the Rays in that one.
Yeah.
Hey, if you love your team, man.
Right. But my whole point is that once, like you said about the breaking, you hit the nail on the head. Anybody with a heartbeat can make a post from their bedroom, like those two wonderful people were posting in their bedroom and had a sock on their hand about breaking. You know, when anyone with a heartbeat can do it, just like anyone with a heartbeat can have a Facebook profile and start razzing or say, need to make money. Edwin, you're on Blowout. How many times do you see a post, buying resale lots, need to pay 40% of eBay?
That's great. I'm going to post one of those when we're done.
It's like, come on, man. You know, it's supposed to be something that's fun. If it's fun, the financial aspect isn't the largest driver. The fun of it is meeting new people, talking with your friends, trading with your friends, not sweating out razzes for $400 a spot, and if you lose, I quit, I'm done, I hate this. You know, like it's the hobby aspect is, from everything that I see, if you just really look at it and evaluate it, I don't think there's any other I don't even think there's an A, B, C, and D. I think there's an A. The number of people that collect cards is decreasing. It's because of the financial aspect that everyone wants to focus on. And that's it. I think it's cut and dry. And if it wasn't the financial aspect, manufacturers wouldn't close. People wouldn't lose licenses.
Oh, man.
I think it's really black and white. I mean, I think it's really, really. Maybe it's because I'm on the sell side and you're on the buy side. I don't know, but I don't think there's any other way around it. How many people? I mean, look at vintage stuff. We've had a conversation, and you've stated that the prices of vintage cards just continue to go up and up and up.
They do. It's small. They're smaller percentages.
But is that because they're making more of them? Is that because it's because when you always say to me, I hate when certain people win razzes because I never see the card again.
Yes.
Okay.
I do. It bothers me because I know that it's going to get buried in their collection, and I'll never have a chance to win it again.
And my point is that never, and I will use the word never, that will never happen in a modern Razz room.
Yeah.
Never. Even if it goes to a guy that PCs that player or that team, it will never happen. So my point is the collectors, there are still a ton of collectors in the vintage market. Hence the price increases. Hence the reason you don't see tons of this stuff popping up. That's why. I mean, look, it's not like they made how many Mickey Mantle rookies do you think they made? Tons and tons and tons and tons and tons. And did I say tons?
Yeah.
They made tons. Why don't you see any?
Well, a lot of those, and you know this, a lot of those are buried in the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean.
Right, I know that. Okay, let's take that example out of it. take another issue. Take a pre-war issue. Babe Ruth rookies.
Yeah.
They made tons of them. And tons.
Yeah,
where are they?
Dude, you know, I'm not gonna go through this one with you because you know the answer to that question. A lot of them are in landfills in New Jersey because their moms and threw all their cards away. So they're not. But I generally get what you're saying. I don't know that there are tons of Ty Cobb 206s out there. There are some, but it's not nearly as many as there are Chris Bryant autographs or Mike Trout autographs or stuff like that. That's why I have a really hard time. And my preference becomes vintage. I know Trout is an active player and Bryant and these guys are active, so that's naturally going to prop up a market for them, and it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But the way that the price of vintage and these modern cards have kind of come together, it just astounds me. Okay, it really does astound me because Mike Trout is alive, as far as I know, and he's going to sign a lot more autographs, and they're going to make a lot more cards, but they're not making any more 206 Ty Cobbs, man. I don't. I don't know. So that's why I really delve into the vintage market, because I really think the same thing will happen where, 15, 20, 25 years from now, Mike Trout is going to have how many autographs out there?
Right, but let's go over the course of a season. Okay, let's just say this season. How many Mike Trout autographs do you think will be produced? Let's just say
10,000. If I had to ballpark.
No way. No, not even close.
You think less?
Way less.
Than 10 grand?
Way less, and it's not even close.
Really?
Yes. Think about it. Let's just say there's 20 issues. Okay? And let's just say he has, I don't know, 300 autographs in each issue, which he probably doesn't.
6,000.
Right. So my point is there's 6,000 cards produced in a given year. Let's just say it's 10,000. Let's just say it's 10,000. Do you think there was more, less, or the same than that produced every year of any given vintage baseball card in the 50s?
I think that now this is it. This is it. I guarantee you there were more produced, but I think less survived.
Think less survived.
I think less survived because of what I'm saying is, dude, those ended up in bicycle spokes, and they ended up in, like you said, landfills in Jersey, and they got lost and misplaced over time because the thing is, Trout autographs, everyone is going to hold on to them because they have a Mike Trout autograph, and it's a collectible. Dude, I'm not teaching a lesson here. As soon as something becomes collectible, it's aesthetic. It's no longer collectible because everyone has one. It's like starting lineups or whatever. So everyone's going to hold on to those Mike Trout autographs. They're all going to put them in their mag cases. They're all going to post them on eBay and try and sell them to get another break. You all know how that's going to happen. But the cards from the 50s in particular, man, not a lot of those cards survive. Actually, I did bring one for the show and tell today. This is a Koufax rookie that I just got.
Congrats.
And that is a nice one. Look at the crease down the middle. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, saw that posted in a Raz room.
Yeah, I won it in a Raz room.
Saw that posted in a Raz room.
But I love that card, and the reason that I love that card is because someone loved that card. It looks like someone folded it and put it in their pocket, actually, is kind of what it looks like to me. Yeah. But that's what people used to do with cards, and they weren't collectible. So my point being is I guarantee you that there are less Koufax rookies in circulation. And I'm going to have to figure this out after. We're going to have to break it up. There are less Koufax rookies in circulation than there are Mike Trout autographs that will be produced in 2016.
All right, well, hold on. I'm going to tell you right now.
Not how many are printed. How many survived?
Okay, let's take a look.
Edwin, come on, get on board with me on this one, buddy.
Hold on. What year is Sandy Koufax's rookie?
For the love of God, 1955.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay. Well, here's the thing. What year is Mike Stanton's first Bowman Chrome issue?
Hold on.
No, don't look it up. Just
no, dude. Here are my hands. I'm not looking it up. 2005.
Wrong. 2008. Ah! Oh my God! You didn't know he's the best power hitter in baseball. See, I don't know. I'm not big into vintage. Look on the PSA Pop Report. Does anybody have do you have a PSA account?
I'm sure Edwin does.
Yeah. Edwin?
Yeah. What do you want me to look up?
Koufax rookies. How many have been graded?
Give me a second.
I bet you it's under 2,000. I don't know what we're betting, but I got a feeling.
I mean, like you said, it's only going to show what's been
graded.
PSA.
By PSA, not BGS or GS.
How many, Brian, you said? Less than 2,000?
I say less than 2,000 have been graded.
Okay, and if I told you 5,600, how would you feel?
Yeah, it's not too bad. So 5,600 have been graded. Dude, but that's only 5,600. That's not bad.
That's just by PSA.
Right, and we assume there are going to be a little less, so that would mean to me that there's going to be less Koufaxes graded than there will be Mike Trout autographs produced this year.
How about all the ungraded ones that are floating around?
There are some. There's no doubt about that.
There's a lot more than some. And here's my point. My point is there are so many of these cards out there, so many. There's thousands of them. And they're tougher to find. You know why? Because people collect them. They stash them. They put them away. They're never coming out again. That's not happening with Mike Trout. You said Mike Trout is a collectible, and the people buy him and they put him away. But in the same breath, you said they put him. Yes, you did. Rewind the show.
No, they don't put them away. They're going to sell them.
Right. So that's not a collectible.
Yeah, that's true.
That's not a collectible.
It's sold as a collectible.
Well, the point is that the Sandy Koufax rookie is not coming out of is not come. They're not popping up again, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of them.
There's a big difference between buying a modern rookie and a vintage rookie. You know what I mean? Like, so for instance, even back when we were collecting baseball cards, you walk into the brick and mortar store and you'd get a rookie card. I mean, think back to the Mark McGwire rookie, example or whatever. You would get one of those. I mean, it was a hot prospect at that time, but that's what everybody was banking on. Oh, I got a rookie card. Is it going to turn into something bigger? And people would hold on to them. So I think the same thing still holds true. People, trade rookies like they're a commodity. You know what I mean? And so they want to get something when it's not hot, or when they think that they're starting to blow up, and then turn around and flip it. I mean, rookies are for flippers.
Okay, and that's fine. So let's take out. My point is, it doesn't matter if it's a rookie. What if it's a 58 Koufax? They're still not like all over the place because people collect Sandy Koufax. You know what I'm saying? My point is, because people collect and keep, that's why that end of the market is so strong. That's why it's so strong.
I don't disagree with you there at all.
So for you to say you don't disagree with me, that the statement that I made is like the foundation of every other statement that I've made previously. That there are very few modern collectors, that this stuff trades like a commodity. Like, if a card sells in one Raz room, it's 60. As soon as the guy gets it, it's in either the same room or another one. One at 60, lined at 50. Why is the price dropped?
But I think it's also based on the audience we're looking at too. You know what I mean? Look at our age demographic. A lot of us are going to go after the older players. There's not a lot of us that are chasing the new guys, for PC. Whereas if you go into a younger demographic, a couple age brackets down from us, and you look at them, they're going to go, oh, well, Mike Trout's my favorite player, so I'm going to PC him and I'm going to keep it. Just like we would a Max or whoever our favorite player is. So, I think it's kind of hard to, because we're, a lot of times we're looking at something just through one perspective at Facebook or, and on our particular demographic, but that's mostly, 18 and up, at minimum, mostly into the probably late 20s, 30s, if not older sometimes, on the folks that buy into this stuff. And, they're not chasing modern cards, for PC, and unless they're like a super team collector, like I collect all Baltimore Orioles and I want every Orioles card ever, that type of thing, which is, those guys, they're pretty rare, from that standpoint.
Yeah, I was just, I agree. I mean, I'm just not as dour as some. It's very hard. John speaks in a lot of facts, so I can't always disagree with what you're saying, because it is factually accurate. The only thing that I would say is I think sometimes you don't take into account every scenario that has an impact on what that statement is. And the other part of that is I think I tend to be a little bit more optimistic.
Well, I don't think it's so much optimism and not optimism. I think it's just evaluating the facts that are in front of me that I see. I think if there's, just because I don't have an optimistic opinion doesn't mean I wouldn't have an optimistic opinion if the results...
If there was different data available.
Right. Sure, of course.
Well...
I'm optimistic about the vintage market. It is what it is. Those are the facts.
Right.
People collect those cards.
I was going to say the good data that I do have available is, I think, Strata, man. I know you broke a little bit of Strata, and this is where I'm going to try and paint good stuff. I think Topps has struck gold with those little Major League Baseball authentication stickers.
Me too.
Those things are fantastic.
Well, I think what it does, and I'm interested to see where they go with it, is I think that it eliminates the concern that a lot of people
Yeah.
have had about older issues. But with the same respect, do you guys remember, Edwin, you may remember it, Brian, I think you were out of cards. Do you remember, I think it was the '01 legendary cut that was like, it was the Mount Rushmore. It was, you know what I'm talking about, Edwin?
Yep.
And the guy sent it into PSA and they said it was unauthentic.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're always going to have the people that say, well, wait a minute, that card had the stamp of Upper Deck on it. UDA stuff sells for more, I'm talking about autographed memorabilia, than any other third-party authentication, yet they put an autograph that PSA wouldn't authenticate in a pack. So I think you're always going to have the people that question, but I think that's a really good step in the right direction.
Let me throw this out there, okay? I mean, I look at those Strata cards, like Brian just showed, and I'm not a fan of the sticker sitting on the relic. You know what I mean? It kind of takes up real estate. I don't really like it. To me, I'm asking myself, what's the difference between, a sticker on the relic or something on the back that says, hey, this is endorsed by MLB? Or
No. I don't disagree with you there. I think that is one part of it, and that is very valid. I think the part that I mean that is particularly attractive to me is that I can put in that code and actually find out what game it was used in, and what the significance of the relic is. I know I was talking, I wish I remembered the gentleman's name. He sent me, it was a tribute card that had the sticker on it with the baseball, and it was from David Price's 1,000th strikeout. And you could actually put in the Major League Baseball code on the sticker and see that, that was a ball that was used by David Price for the 1,000th strikeout in his career. And that's the part that I think is, like, super cool. So, again, I don't – everything that you said, I think that is true. Like, I don't like that they put the sticker, like, on the relic myself, because I think people are going to take those freaking stickers off and put them on other things. Well, that is what I think is going to happen.
So then, Edwin, let me ask you this: how about if that sticker was on the back of the card, so it wasn't visible on the picture or the item?
Well, I would prefer something that's not removable, like Brian mentioned. Yeah. I mean, people will take a damn sticker auto off of one card and put it on another card nowadays. I mean, but I love the aspect of, the like learning how, like where the actual item came from. You know what I mean? Hey, this was that's freaking awesome. I mean, and that's only going to increase the value of some of these cards too.
I agree.
Because that's almost makes it a one of one. You know what I mean? Because that particular piece or that is such a niche to that particular game. Everybody's going to want it. Well, I want the one that he used in this particular game or that breakout moment or whatever the case may be. I mean, I think Brian was onto something. I mean, they struck gold on that.
Well, the only way for them to hide the sticker would be like on the back where it says this is where they give their disclosure. Mm-hmm. They would have to put that code on the back, and the reason that I don't think they can do that is because I could be wrong. I think the back of the card, maybe they could because they have to change the name on the back of the card. It's just a generic, it's very generic that's stamped on, that's printed on. They would have to put that code somewhere on there. But I think that could be, I think that would give the same effect.
Security stickers, where if you peel it off, it basically destroys it. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I mean, I think it's in its infancy, and I think it's got a long way to go. But I think where it's going is in the right direction. That's for sure.
One of the things I heard as a suggestion that I was kind of middle of the road about, but I didn't really love it, was they suggested putting the film, the clear plastic, over the relic. So you would have to like really take the card apart to get that sticker off. And that would be an effective method in keeping the sticker protected. But the negative aspect, and this is I love feeling the relics, man. I think it's just, I know it's a weird thing, but I actually like being able to touch the relic, and I know it's ridiculous. I'm sorry, but as soon as I get a relic, the first thing I do is like rub it with my thumbs, just because I think it's pretty neat.
Learn something new every day.
I don't know, man.
No, that's cool. I mean, I like the relics too. I think there's two sides to that too, because one of the new trends is people are trying to dirty up their relics. I don't know if
that's awful.
They take it, they rub a little bit of some infield dirt on it, or a little drop of blood or something, and they're
Sell
trying to
it.
increase the value of their cards and saying, hey, it's a dirty patch. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, freaking scammers, man! We need to
Yeah.
go an episode sometime. I love that you're bringing this stuff up because I had thought about that potentially, like for some of these cards, and that's a shame, man.
I pulled a David Johnson relic in a break like a week or two ago, and the patch was wait, was it David Johnson or Larry Fitzgerald? It was one of them, and the patch was really dirty. So from that aspect, I know it came right out of the pack.
Right.
It's on a video that's not going anywhere that you saw came right out of the pack. But Edwin's right. That stuff happens a lot. Listen, these guys, they knew how to cut open cards, and you couldn't tell that the card was altered, putting patches in and out. There used to be a website. It might still be out there, where there's a guy that tracks every serial number, and he takes pictures of what it is on eBay, that serial number, and then when it pops up again, he just keeps posting it. Adrian Peterson was like the biggest one back in 2007 with his SP Authentic patches, where people were buying them and then putting the Viking shield in the patch. And
that is genius.
it's genius, but it's the most unethical thing you could do.
Oh, no, I didn't say it wasn't unethical. I just think that's very creative. Man, how much work? I'm trying to calculate how much work I'd have to put into doing that to actually make it worthwhile. I mean, dear Lord. Well, I will say the patches are getting much sicker than they used to be.
Yeah.
Where, like, you mentioned, like, what was it, Legendary Cuts. You used to get these uniform relics, and they would just be the plain Jane. The patches were few and far between, but they are really, really, really stepping it up as far as just the ridiculous patches on cards now, which I love it.
So let me ask you this question on a more positive note.
Yeah.
Do you think that if the products had, like, take a look at Legendary Cuts, for example, which used to be one of my favorite products because it gave people the opportunity to really get a piece of history, an autograph from a true icon of the sport or really in history, because they had historic ones and things of that nature. Do you prefer products that were like, Legendary Cuts, you weren't even guaranteed an autographic case.
Right.
I mean, how do you think people would feel if the card companies moved to that? I mean, do you think they would complain then too, like the products are too watered down, there's too many not drafted players in the football product, but when you do get a hit, it's a really good hit?
I think people would generally complain no matter what you do. But for that question specifically, the products being as watered down as they are is one of the reasons that I just can't do it, man. I watch a ton of breaks, and my preference is always for, like, I like the way high tech is set up now, and I like the way Strata is set up now, where generally, if you buy a case, even Museum is a good example, where if you buy a case, you're gonna get one of those legendary guys. I mean, not all the time, but you have a really good chance at getting, an Aaron or a Mays or a Koufax or, and in Museum, for the deceased fellas, of getting like a really awesome card out of a case. I can't stand, like, Topps Chrome, dude. Daniel Corchino. I've never met him. I hate him because Daniel Corchino is coming out of a box of Topps Chrome at some point. The watered down cases, I can't stand them, dude. I would rather have like one guaranteed autograph of someone awesome in my case than just get a case of no names. I can't stand it.
Here's a really good topic for next time, and I'd like to hear what the feedback is. So I hope a lot of people watch this show. Something I wanted to talk about. Do you guys remember last year there was a product called Prospect Rush Baseball?
I do. I remember Prospect Rush.
Well, it was really expensive. And
what was it? It was like $2,000 for a box, I think.
Yeah, it might have even been more. I can't remember.
Like $2,500. It was a lot.
Something like that. It was crazy. We actually did a box and our case, I guess you want to call it, and it wasn't good. My question is, do people like repackaged products? And if they do, I'll tell you what left a bad taste in my mouth about that product. Well, left a bad taste in my mouth where there were supposed to be golden tickets in there that got you a chance to win the Chris Bryant
Superfractor Auto.
I don't know, never happened. Then he was going to do something because there were no golden tickets, and then the guy just kind of disappeared, and the next thing you know, people got the wool pulled over their eyes and got waffled. This guy made a ton of money and never made good. You got to check out the post on Blowout. I mean, it was at one point it was like 80 pages long. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
My point is, I think a repackaged product, I really like the idea. My question for the audience is, at what point are you happy? Like, what would make you happy in a repackaged product? Because at the end of the day, anybody that makes one is doing it to make money. So what would you be happy getting? What kind of construction would you be happy with in a repackaged product? And I'd like to talk about like a vintage one, a modern one, and a prospect one, because it's 3 different markets. What would make the people feel like they're actually getting value or have a chance at good value? I'd really like to talk about that.
Well, and that's a great question. I'm not going to try to go into it, but I'll tell you what. For me personally, when they come out with like the buybacks or things like that, like I'll give you an example. 2014 Leaf Iron Man Collector's Edition. I mean, just take my money. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just here. I'm gonna give you everything I got because in that situation, I know I'm gonna open up a box and there's gonna be nothing in there but what I collect. There's gonna be an autographed cards. And every box is gonna have a hit. You know what I mean? And it's I think what appeals to people is, obviously what appeals to people. I mean, it's the kind of guaranteeing them, the kind of almost unveiling what they're going to get out of something. You know what I mean? And that's why it's great that we have so many products on the market because there's something for everybody. The high end stuff, the like you mentioned, the watered down products. There's people that just like to open. You know what I mean? So like the archives and stuff like that, where you're just busting your break. I mean, it's like Allen and Ginter. I mean, you're opening packs for days. You know what I mean? Out of a case. Versus museum when you got only a couple packs in a box. But there's something for everybody. In the product market. And I think that's the beauty of it.
So Edwin, would you like a repack, like that Prospect Rush? I thought it was a good. I liked the concept. I did not like the price per unit, and I did not like what was in there. So are you saying if the manufacturer was more forthcoming about what's guaranteed in a box, like you are guaranteed, you are going to get one of these Group A autographs, one of these Group B. This is what you are going to get. So you have a general idea of what you're going to get. Would that make the product attractive for you?
I think it would make it attractive for most people because, the audience is going to be willing to, I mean, they're going to know what they're going to get before they get into it. So, I think that's what it's about. I think these products that are too vague, these grab bag boxes, these types of things, it just never ends well. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've never seen anybody going, hey, I got these rebranded, these repackaged boxes, and oh my God, I got the monster Babe Ruth. You know what I mean? It's like, it just never seen it happening.
Yeah, see, and one of the other things I really liked about what he did with his product was that every box was numbered. So my thing is for people, I think it would be really cool to have like a tracker. Like these are the boxes that have been taken. This is what's come out. Like all sorts of stuff like that, so that it makes the remaining boxes more valuable if the huge hit is still in there. Or you know what I'm saying? Like I think something like that would be really neat. And I just wanted to hear what people had to say about it too.
All right, guys, we should get that posted up. We can definitely take care of that this week. I think that's a great question. But I got 2 4-year-olds down here, man, so I got to run. So if you could close this out, Edwin, I'd really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Definitely. Check us out on Facebook. Send us a tweet on Twitter. This will be up on YouTube here shortly. Looking forward to it, and thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.